Emma Brager. I am a stage manager here in town and a big fan of, oh God, I should have written something down. Hey there, my name's Emma Brager. I'm a stage manager here in Calgary and also a giant nerd, longtime cosplayer, semi-professional D&D player. Big fan of Theatre Calgary. So hey Theatre Calgary friends, because it's spooky season, it's time to start thinking about making ourselves a costume. Now, I'm not a professional in any sense of the word, but I do enjoy it and I just keep trying. So today, I thought I would show you all how to make a pretty cute witch hat like this one I've got right now. And maybe you want to follow along and we'll make something for your Halloween season. First thing we're gonna do is measure our heads. Math time. Mine, I just sort of go around behind my bangs here. Oh gosh, this is supposed to be quick. I'm gonna make mine a little bit bigger. I want this hat to also fit my husband, and I'm gonna make my circumference for my head 24.5 inches, which means I need to do some math. Circumference of a circle is equal to pi times the diameter. And what we're looking for is the radius. The diameter equals the radius times 2. So in order to calculate the radius, you have to take the circumference, 24.5, and then divide it by 2 times pi. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. For me, that means that the radius of the inside of the circle I'm gonna make is 3.89 something, 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 something. I'm gonna round it up to 4. And then I want my brim of my hat to be 5 inches, and that'll include a seam allowance and things like that. So we're essentially making a big old donut. 2 radiuses, 4 on the inside, 5 on the outside. Ready to cut a pattern? So I've got my tissue paper here. This is just a normal sheet of gift wrap tissue paper. I'm gonna fold it in half, put that fold towards me, and then because it's really wrinkly, I'm gonna tape it down. Okay, I'm gonna essentially make myself a little compass. I've got just a normal piece of embroidery floss here, and I've lassoed it onto just a normal pen. So I'm gonna take my measuring tape, and I'm gonna mark right at the beginning of the tape, and I'm gonna go to 4 inches. I'm gonna take a Sharpie and mark the thread. And then I'm gonna stretch that out along the measuring tape to 9 inches, and give myself another little mark there because that's going to be the outside brim. And then down here on the fold, I'm going to decide on some arbitrary center point and just give myself a little dot. I'm going to put my thumb on that first Sharpie mark on my thread and hold it on my center dot. Oh gosh, super professional. And make myself a circle. Oh. A circle. And then I'm gonna extend it to my 9-inch mark, put that on the center dot, swing that all the way around. So now I've got my 2 circles here. Now the thing to remember is that you're gonna need a seam allowance to sew to in the center. I'm gonna mark myself a 1/2 inch. I'm gonna cut this out, and then I should have my pattern. And there we have a circle. Well, a donut. All right, next step. So now that we've got 2 of our wool donuts and we've got 2 of our interfacing donuts, I'm gonna line them up. I'm gonna make sure I know which side of my interfacing has the glue on it. You're gonna take your wrong side of the fabric and you're gonna line up the interfacing, put it on top, and then iron it on low to have them all stick together, and it should look like this. So this is now my interfacing stuck together with my wool in a lovely sandwich. And I've now taken the right sides, that's the wool side, pinned them together. Okay, I wanted to have, you know, a slope like this hat does. I want it to sort of slope down. So what that means is I need to cut a slit and then overlap it to find the right angle. I'm gonna cut straight line into the middle. Now basically I just want to figure out how much I want this to overlap. You're gonna try it on, you're gonna figure out how much you want it to overlap, trial and error, make sure it fits, go to your mirror, and then you're gonna cut that part out. Magic of the internet, here we are. My 4 layers, that's interfacing and wool, all together into a, I don't know what you call this shape, pizza with 1 slice taken out. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna sew the edges together. Let me show you. Okay, so I've got those seams pressed nice and flat, as you can see here. Now the next thing to do is to put them right sides together, lining up that seam, and then we're gonna pin all the way around, and then we're gonna stitch all the way around the outside of the brim. Okay, so now that we've got our whole outside circle fully done, I'm gonna go through with my scissors, sort of notch, careful not to clip through the stitches I just did, and then I'm gonna flip it inside out. I'm gonna take it back upstairs to the iron that seam flat, and then I'll be down here and we're gonna do some top stitching. Okay, so I've ironed it all flat. Now I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna top stitch 1/8 of an inch away from the edge, maybe 1/4 inch depending on how focused I am, and that'll make it all lie flat and it'll look just like this. And that's it, that's the brim of my hat. We're gonna move on to the cone, but I'm probably gonna do that tomorrow. I was just thinking that we should probably think of some famous Broadway witches to tie this into the whole theater thing. So I'm gonna start with Arthur Miller's The Crucible. I saw Goody Proctor with the devil. Hey, Erin.
Yeah.
Can you tell me your favorite Broadway witch?
Probably Elphaba.
Okay, can you name any other Broadway witch?
Oh, the one from Into the Woods. Children will listen.
Beans, beans, nothing but beans. Hello, witches and warlocks. We're gonna finish our hat today. So the first thing we have to do is measure out a pattern for the cone of the hat. This part up here, and the process for that looks a little like this. Okay, so to make our brim, I'm gonna want my brim to be, I think, 19 inches tall. We're gonna use the same method as we did before with the embroidery floss and measuring it out and then sort of building ourselves a little compass. You're gonna want to give yourselves more of a curve than you might need because we'll just measure it later to size. I'm gonna go to that 19-inch mark and hold that down on my point. This is going to be a full quarter circle. You can go as much as you need. Okay, so now we have to figure out exactly how much of our fabric we need to fit inside of our brim. So the first thing to do is to fold your brim in half. Make sure it lies as flat as you can. Then take your tape measure and you're going to measure inside this circumference here. Double it and you'll know that that's how much you're going to need to fill with your other fabric. So mine here right now is sitting at 10 inches. So that means I'm gonna need 20 inches. Set that aside. I'm gonna go along the edge here and I'm gonna measure out to 20 inches. And I'm gonna throw a mark down here. Then I'm going to give myself another couple of inches after that, put a mark, cut that out, transfer it to my fabric, and cut that out there. When that's all done, you should have something that looks like this. Next step is to fold it right sides together. I'm gonna pin all along this edge, and then I'm gonna take it to the sewing machine and sew it with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Take it upstairs to the iron that seam flat, and we are so close to being done. Here we go. Okay, so I've got this all sewn. You can see I've ironed those seams nice and flat. Next step is to turn this whole thing inside out. You can use a pen to help you get the point through. Then we're gonna put the thing together. Okay, so here I've got my brim, and I'm just looking at it to make sure I know which way is the top way and which way is the bottom way. You can tell it sort of wants to fall that way, which means that this is the top. So I'm gonna flip it, point the bottom to myself. I've got my cone here, and I'm gonna put that through from the bottom, and I'm gonna line up these two seams right here. Now I'm gonna work my way all the way around so that I can eventually run my sewing machine around here and attach the cone to the brim. Okay, so we've got everything attached and it's all pinned around the edge here. I hope you can see that. So now I'm gonna take it to the machine. I'm gonna run all the way around and attach the two together. And here it is all attached. And at this point, essentially it is a wearable hat. It even looks pretty cute, but it is a little floppy. The solution to fixing the flop is going to be this stuff here. This is polyfill, normal stuffing. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, I like to break it apart into fairly small pieces and then just stuff it into the hat. Okay, so now that I'm happy with where the batting is sitting, I'm happy with how much there is, I think the hat looks freaking cute. So I've got this circle here, which is what I cut out of the donut originally. So now I'm gonna take that, I'm just gonna lay it in there, and I'm just gonna hand sew that in really gently, and I'll be right back. All right, and here it is. The cap's all in there, that stuffing's not going anywhere. And now I have this beautiful, tall, very pointy hat. I like a little bit of curve on my hat, so this one's got a little sorting hat-esque vibe to it. And on this one, I'm thinking I want to add a little more character to it. So the way I do that is I take my hand sewing needle and thread, and I'm just gonna gather it and make a little pucker there. All right, I'm gonna go try it on and see if I wanna do more. And done. There it is. Boo. Ah, scary witches. Thank you so much for watching along with me. If you did watch along, that's wild. Can you believe it? That's it. That's all it takes. Make your own witch hat. Hopefully, if you've been a little bit crafty during this pandemic, this may have inspired you to become a little bit witchcrafty. Too much? Thank you to Theatre Calgary for asking me to talk about cosplay, one of my great passions in life, and also for giving me the opportunity to goof off and make a hat. And I hope you all have a very happy Halloween. Don't get too scared. Boo! Trick or treat. Happy Halloween. To the costume shop at Theatre Calgary, I'm sorry. Please don't judge me.